have to say anything?
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, that's it. Welcome to the Goosecast, where our goal is to recover the lost art of manhood one episode at a time. I am your host, Tim Guzman, and today we're joined by a very special guest, my wife, Rayanna Guzman. Hi, babe.
Hello.
How are you?
Great.
Wait, question. Why do you not have headphones, but I have headphones?
I don't want to be here.
No, she doesn't like her voice, people. She doesn't like her voice, even though I think her voice is awesome. So, babe, we're celebrating something very special this week. It's actually next month, which a story for later, but what are we celebrating?
10 years of marriage.
10 years of marriage. To a lot of your older folks, you might seem like that's nothing, but it's a big deal for us. Not just because marriages don't last very long, but it is because I just like being married to you.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you say the same about me.
I do.
It's more like I have to be married to him type of thing.
No way.
So for this episode, we wanted to talk a little bit about our time in marriage. We have 10 years at our backs. We have some good experience. We are definitely not experts on this, but I think it's good for couples to share their experiences as long as they've been married, however long it is. The longer, the better, obviously. But so we wanted to talk about 10 years, marriage in general, our experience with marriage. And one thing that I would like to start out with is the expectation versus reality, because for me, I did build up an expectation on marriage that wasn't really there. And when I got in marriage, it was different than what I originally thought. One of those things being for just men in general is the marriage bed. Like literally men overthink that way too much, and they build up in their minds that once they're married, it gives them like a free pass to do everything and all things all the time, and that's just not the case. Especially when you have kids. Like kids like change that aspect, that whole thing 20-fold. But that's a good thing because you brought something more important into the world, like a child. But for you men out there, that would be some of the advice I would give you is not to overthink that, not to put too much weight on it. I think that you have to go into it with a little bit of, I don't know, humbled thought, and take other people's advice, because it's definitely not what you... It's amazing, don't get me wrong, it's awesome, but it's not going to be like every single night, multiple times a day, like when you first married. Definitely not. So that's the first thing for just men in general, and I'm making my wife very, very uncomfortable here, but it's definitely true, and that's something she had to tell me and show me earlier on in my marriage, like, hey, I can't keep up with you. You gotta tone it down. She, after, and for guys that don't know this, younger guys, after women have the child, you're out for like 9 months, 9 additional months, until it's like completely healed. And then you have, what is it, like 3 months that it's like a no-go or something like that?
6 weeks.
6 weeks?
Yeah.
I thought it was more than that.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. But it's different for each woman.
It might feel like that.
It does feel like that. It's different for each woman. Put your mouth up closer to the mic. Yeah. It does feel like that though. It feels like 2 years. But for most guys, it's not. But what about you, babe? Did you have any like, I don't know, expectation or thought that you kind of overthought, or maybe it's different than the real thing?
I think for mine is kind of the opposite. Like, so my childhood and like my expectations of like marriage was like not love
Mm,
and not true, like not a true relationship. And so I think being married and like getting to like know what love is, that was like, it was not my expectations, but the right way.
mm. And for those of you who don't know, her mom and dad separated at an early age, and it wasn't really a good environment. Mostly the dad's fault. So that is good. And a lot of young girls and guys go through that for sure. But how did you get the right expectation though? Because you didn't get it from your parents. So did you have to kind of wing it? Is it something that you got married to me and you just had to figure a lot of those things out?
Pretty much. The only like true married role models that I had was like my aunt and uncle.
Mm, they're still married,
They are still married.
and his dad is still married. His mom and dad.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But really, I mean, your parents
Yeah.
and your family, and then just winging it and doing it
Mm.
and knowing your purpose.
Yeah, and there's not really too much that we can like give there, because if you don't know what a true marriage looks like, then the only thing is other examples in your life, but also the Bible, what the Bible says, what a marriage looks like, how it's supposed to be, how it's a lifelong covenant, all that good stuff. But that's the only thing. That's the only thing. That's the only piece of advice that we can give those individuals, is to look to the Word,
Jesus.
Jesus. So you said that you didn't have that example growing up. When you first got married to the best human male on this planet,
Mhm.
um, when you first got married to me, what were some of the issues that you found? Like maybe it was that like a false expectation, like when with guys in the marriage bed. Like, did you have a false expectation that you just kind of had to learn the hard way?
Not really.
That's good.
Well, I mean, because I've never
Excuse
dealt
me.
with anything like that. So, like, I don't know. It was just, I was going in blindly.
We had children like right, like we didn't wait. We like started having children ASAP. Do you regret? Not regret. Maybe that's the wrong word. But would you change things around? Like move it to where we had a year or two just each other married, or would you? Are you totally fine with having kids right when you get married?
Well, we had talked about having kids as soon as we got married, like before we even got married. Like
Yeah.
that was something that we had wanted from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I mean, if we had the same kid out of it, then maybe.
Yeah.
But not really. I mean,
Did it make things tougher?
definitely
Mm.
that first year after having her was very, very hard because I had postpartum
Mm-hmm.
real bad and I was too prideful to ask for help.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I would say it is tougher. It was tougher, I think.
Mhm.
But I think it was tougher, but also I think God used those lessons to grow us closer to Him and each
Mhm.
other. Like all the things that we went through, um, there 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 could be discussion of whether, if we changed around the order of things, whether they would have been better, but maybe we wouldn't have got the lessons from them.
Yep.
So I think in the order that we took them, God used it. Like we started having kids. We had Brooklyn 9 months after our honeymoon,
Mhm.
and then we had Cole 2 years later, and then Maverick 4 years later.
5.
Five, right? But uh like it was just nonstop going. constant like communication, a lot of things that we didn't really know about. We weren't prepared for. We didn't go to birthing classes for the first two kids, which I would go back and change.
Yes.
So it's kind of crazy when it comes to that. But what about kids? Like, you grew up in a family that didn't have a ton of kids for sure, and it almost was like, the more kids you have, the less love and the less time you can give to each other, and more of those the additional children you have. So having children, is that the case, or is it a little bit different?
No.
Is it
That like that whole like you can only have so many kids before you run out of love is stupid.
and
And
time?
it's false information for the families that want to be big.
Fake news.
Uh but like I mean if someone has that outlook growing up and then they're like, no, I don't want to have a big family because my attention it only goes so far, is not right.
Yeah, I mean, it does take a little bit more time, but like, I can still like, we can still date each other. Like,
Right.
even with 3 kids, we can still date each other for sure. But I think that the whole expectation of, oh, you always need to be alone to be affectionate with one each other, or like to grow our relationship together, you can do that with kids around you. Like,
And you should.
and you should, and it's something that I think is necessary for your kids, because I
Mhm.
think your kids see their parents being affectionate, putting each other first, even above their own kids. Like, I said this story a lot, but my dad often reminded us that his mom is my mom is more important than I am to him, and that kind of was like, whoa, to me. But it helped me so much frame my my outlook on you and my wife, and who I need to put first. And if you put your spouse first, your kids benefit.
Well, if you put God first,
Correct.
then yeah.
Yeah, if you have the correct chain, or pyramid: God, wife, family, others.
Mhm.
That's the correct chain. But if you put God first, your wife will benefit, and if you put your wife first, your kids will benefit, and if you put your kids first, the whole world will benefit.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's an expectation. I remember like thinking that, like, when I was younger, but actually seeing it in play and experiencing it is a whole. It's a blessing. It's
Mhm.
awesome because I can see, like, my daughter. I can see the benefits and of that type of teaching in her right now. Like, she already. I think I told you this, but she was like, I was like, well, what are you gonna do when you get older? We're talking about jobs or something like that. She's like, well, I'm not sure. I might have to talk with my husband. I'm like, girl, you are based. That made me so emotional that day. I was like, dang, that hurts my heart. But also, way to go, baby Brooke. Um, but yeah, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Uh, 10 years. So if you were talking to a 15-year-old girl, your own daughter, she might be 15 one
No.
day. If I don't make advances in science to keep her this age forever. Um, what is some of, like, the advice that you would give a young lady that's looking to marry a man?
Well, aside from giving your life to the Lord, I would say communication is probably the most crucial part of marriage, and that's something that it took
No, we were perfect at that.
it took a good 7, 8 years.
And we were only married for 10.
Yeah, like that. Not that we didn't talk, about important things, but like really talk about it. Like,
Yeah, it took it took me a good 5 years to be very comfortable with you talking about like the male lust issue
Mhm.
and a lot of those things, and then it took you about the same amount of time to talk about maybe like deeper subjects, more private things that you might feel uncomfortable with. Like
Mhm.
for you to fully feel comfortable with me, it took a while. Um, but some of the things that I think that would help that is just to be upfront with, like, on maybe not pre-marriage, because it might get too much in the details and lead you and lead people us in, but on honeymoon night, like you sit down and say, hey, let's get all this out in the
Yeah.
open. What stuff about the marriage bed, like have those conversations. It might be awkward because if you guys done it before or haven't done it before, be totally upfront with each other. Again, I would consult your pastors or your mentors on what you should share with each other pre-marriage.
Well, not even like just the marriage bed, but I'm talking about like everything.
Yeah.
Like everything.
Hmm.
From stuff that happens from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed, like everything in between. Like even if it's silly, like not putting your clothes in the hamper or something
Hmm.
like that. Like because if you, especially for women, if you like fixate on the small problems,
There's a lot of
then
small
there's a
problems.
I'm getting better.
No, well, we were talking about this before the episode, but do girls build up a expectation on a man prior to that marriage,
Oh, for
like when
sure.
they're teenagers?
For sure.
Like what kind of expectation? Like
Well, like,
Superman?
yeah. And I mean, we just fail to realize and understand that men are human and
Mm,
sin attacks all, not just women.
except for me.
But definitely a false expectation of that.
So you guys build like your picture perfect man in your mind.
Well, I didn't because I didn't have one.
Oh my god. So
I
I
just
literally wasn't in her dreams.
Well, we met when I was 13
Right.
and after that all that changed. But
Hmm.
like growing up most people they watch princess movies and they get carried away by Prince Charming and blah 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 blah. And like for me, I just grew up thinking that I was going to get with a dude, have a child and then run away.
Hey, it basically happened.
Like that was kind of because I just thought all men like were terrible and
Mm,
because every one of them that I knew was awful
mm,
and get drunk and beat on their wife and blah blah blah. And
right.
so I didn't want that, but I wanted kids. So I was just going to get with a dude, have a
Hmm.
child with him and then just leave and
So
then do
you
it by
didn't
myself.
even, did you even like say to yourself, you know what, I'm not going to find that man? Did you even say, I'm going to find this man? Or was it more like a, well, that's all men?
Yeah. That's
Wow. That's crazy.
I mean, any
Like girls, like they just settle for mediocre or bad based off of, that's crazy. So you're like a real life example of a girl that got given an example of a male and then just said that's the way life is. And if God didn't bring us together and he gave you a biker dude that was bald, had tattoos everywhere, and his name was Ignacio, then then you would have just settled for it. And
I
if you
mean,
would have like, oh, beat you or like was a drug dealer or something, you would have been like, oh, well, that's just how things are.
well, I didn't truly accept Christ until after I had met you. So
Right.
I literally had no expectations. Like I
Wow.
just knew all the bad things. And then once I met you and then I found Christ, it was more of like, okay, because that happened, I'm
Mm.
going to do this.
So
And I don't want that.
so your recommendation to young girls is to have expectations, to have those, this is the line that I need. Godly man, good at leading, puts God first, provides, loves me, but don't have a perfect expectation to where he does all those perfectly.
Right.
Say, you're going to marry a sinful man. You're going to marry a sinner. And then, but he needs to have these qualities for me to go for him. That's good. That's good. If only she could do this more. I mean, comment and like below for more Rayanna action.
Don't do it.
Or comment and like below if you want more of these awesome life nuggets from my wife. But speaking of which, please follow us on social medias, Twitter, Facebook. We also have a Gmail, thegoosecast@gmail.com, thegoosecast@gmail.com.
Twitter.
X. Thank you for reminding me, babe. All hail Musk. I'm just kidding. We also are an affiliate of Covenant Eyes. Me and my wife use Covenant Eyes on all of our devices, even hers. So make sure you use code GC30 for 30 days free for Covenant Eyes. If you don't have one device monitoring software, you need it. It's an absolute must for all families and for every man. Sorry. One of the things you said is communication. We kind of gone over communication already. What is something else that is a necessity? Obviously, God first.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not a believer, that is, I'm not saying that it's a necessity for marriage to work and last long, but it's definitely way better. It's how God designed it for God to be the center of the marriage. That's how God designed marriage. So if you're working outside of those parameters, you might be still doing it, but not being utilized the way it was designed, which won't be fulfilling, won't be the best. And I also think I have one, and I've told you this before: talking well about your spouse. Not putting your spouse down. That's a huge thing. I've been in, and you probably saw this too. I've been in scenarios and situations at work, on the job site, where husbands will literally just say, well, can't wait for that divorce to come on. Or they'll say, oh, the missus, she can't stop talking. Ugh, horrible. Or, he's like, man, I just had to get away from her. I had to get out of the house. I go fishing. I'm going to go hunting. I can't wait for that. It really just discouraged me so much. It didn't discourage me from marriage. It just broke my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And almost like clockwork, they had marriage issues. They either cheated on their wife, they divorced their wife, and it was like inevitable.
Well, backtracking a little bit, that also falls like you could not have Christ and have, a long marriage, but you can't truly love them because you don't know what love is. You can say you
Jesus
love
is love.
someone. Yes.
Preach. Oh, baby. Jeez. You need to write a book.
No.
But speaking well about, like, literally when, and I'm not saying this because I've failed at this, but I try my best to talk about my wife as much as possible, especially around other women. That's actually a good tactic to have to keep the man safe from temptation, is to always be talking about your wife in public, always. Because if you talk about your wife a lot, then that's less likely a woman's going to have ideas about you. She'll be like, oh, he talks about his wife so much. It's kind of awkward.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're always downing your wife, or if you just never mention her, then that girl that is eyeballing you or whatever might actually take the next step to try and make a move or whatever. So it's a very good idea to just talk about your wife in a good light, in a very good light. And I think girls struggled with this a lot. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like the nagging wife is always talked about, and it's like a common thread. Like you ladies go to the salon and then you just talk bad about your husband and what he didn't do that previous evening. Is that true, or am I making it up?
I mean, I'm sure for others, but I mean, I don't do that.
Yeah, you don't.
We, I think that just falls with being intentional with your spouse. I mean, with and without them.
Mm,
You have to be intentional on not doing that.
yeah.
And having a rant or vent is not for other people.
Who is it for?
You.
Mm. So you would instead of going to, you know, your bestie and saying, "Oh, Tim did this, Tim did that," you would come to me and say, "Hey, can we talk about this?"
I'm not saying I'm perfect at that because there's been a couple times. But
Yeah.
the intention and the goal is to come to you.
And you said the word intentionality. That is like encompasses or is developed in every single other category. Because if you're not intentional about your communication, intentional about your intimacy, intentional about your spiritual aspect in your relationship, then it won't go as well. So, like here's a good example. If I'm after I get off work, if I'm and I do have these days. Some days I have to. Well, I don't have to, but I just do them because I had a hard day at work. It was crazy, and I go home just to unwind and like relax and whatnot. And you like do very well to help me in that. But the goal for a man is to, once you're done with work, you go home to do more work. You go home to put more work in, not in the same way. I'm not like building accounts here or whatever, and building shops in the backyard or anything like that. I'm talking about like relationship building. That's work. So like when I get home, I'm talking with my kids. I'm seeing what they're doing that day. They all want to play with me all the time. Um, you know, Working out with my wife, spending time with you, all that is work. All that is stuff that is maybe not relaxing. Maybe it's just mentally tough or just tough. That's one of the ways a man can be intentional. An easy way, well, not an easy way, but a simple way to be intentional. As soon as you get home, it's time for working at home, um, on your family. That's a goal. That's a goal a man should have. What about a woman? What's something that a woman can do that's intentional for the marriage?
I think that for the wife to be like, you have to you have to understand what your purpose is. Like, literally my purpose on this earth is to serve Christ, serve you, and then serve our children.
Do you think a career or um, a career and just anything gets in the way of that?
Yes, absolutely.
So obviously, probably not a single woman like she's 18 that she can't do that because there's no kids and no husband. But I would say that it might be um, best for that woman to always be in preparation or preparing for a marriage with a man or
Mhm.
having kids. So maybe in her job, she's, putting money away for that. Or maybe she's always trying to, invest into, her dad to, talk more with him and learn more about him and maybe try and find an example for a man. But if you have kids and if you have a husband, then your primary goal is them. And
Mhm.
if your job has to suffer from it, then so be it.
Yeah.
Um, that's just how it has to be. And same thing, if I'm not fulfilling my job at home, then maybe I need to work less hours. But also, if I'm not providing at home, maybe I need to work more hours.
Well, for a wife, like, to be intentional and to serve her husband, like little things, like I don't
No,
know.
no, I could give you 1,000 examples of what you do for me.
Well, I can't. I don't know. Just like
She's too modest. Let me tell you what this lady does. So she homeschools all
no.
of our kids. She stays at home, she cooks, she cleans, and after dealing with a house full of crazy kids, when I get home, she just does nothing but just shower me with love. And it is true. She has dinner ready. She brings me Cokes. I love carbonated water. Um, like I'm the weirdo, but she knows exactly. She gets me ice cold water. She puts the bubbly, and it takes like 3 minutes. She brings it to me over there, and it's just so amazing. It's such a help, especially when I had a long day at work. She does everything. Yes, you do. You're so great. You're so amazing. Um, anyway, that being said, be intentional. Be intentional with your. We wouldn't have got this far if we weren't intentional. I would also say be intentional about your mistakes.
Yes.
So, like when you make mistakes, be intentional of confronting them and communicating them.
Owning your mistakes, being honest about your mistakes,
talking about them.
Yeah.
Like, and having grace, because there's been times where I'm sure you could have yelled at me for my mistakes, and you didn't, and you chose to talk to me respectfully and calmly. Sometimes you fail. Sometimes I fail. Sometimes I don't speak to you correctly about certain situations. And sometimes I do. But the goal is when mistakes happen, that you confront them calmly and with patience. Um, I also think that for marriages, you are always trying to build up the other person and help them. So when I get home, if things aren't going good here, if you had a hard day, my role is to automatically jump in and pick you up to where we're both on the same level.
Which you do a very good job at.
And then vice versa, if I had a rough day at work, or maybe I'm just not feeling good and I still had to work or something like that, and I get home, you're the one to help me and pick me up and maybe give me some more time to sit on the couch or take a nap or something like that. I've noticed something, and I'll just diss myself real quick. So ever since I turned 30, I get more tired, like extremely more tired, and also like things that happen at work. I physically get tired, like mental things. My job isn't very physically active. It's more I'm a manager, so I manage things. So it's more mentally challenging. I get so tired. And all I want to do is laze around. So my wife helps me. She also kicks me in the rear when we have to go work out or when I have to do some things around the house. That's how it works. And it's working great for us. Like, I love our marriage.
I do too.
No, don't get me wrong. We're not perfect, and we're definitely not going to do marriage correct all the time, 100%. But these are a few things that we found success in, for sure. I have one more topic, and then we'll go ahead and end it. And I know you guys see headphones on my head and no headphones on her. She hates her voice. She hates the way she sounds.
We just don't need to talk about it.
We do. They need to know. Because under the comments, they're going to be like, she has a great voice. We love her voice. Bring her back on. Yeah. And then it's going to be the Goozecast plus Rayanna Guzman. Last topic. So for the long running marriages out there, what are the biggest pitfalls that you can run into? I think we spoke about one, and I would ask you a question about it, but not talking about divorce. Mm-hmm. So I grew up around that. Like, my parents did a very good job at telling us that's not even a word to us. It makes no sense. We don't know what it means. Like, it's not something we use. It's not in our vocabulary. You weren't around that. So let me ask, did it work in our marriage? Like, does just the mere fact that we never talk about it, does that work?
I think it does. Like even when we were dating, we were like, okay, listen, if we're gonna do this,
prior to marriage,
we're not even gonna mention that word. Mm-hmm. And I mean, this day and age, people are married 20 years and then file for a divorce. And that's insane to me. Like,
No, people are married
what?
5 years. I think
Five?
the
Yeah.
most
Like,
average the average length in marriage is like 8 years or something like that.
that's crazy to
It's
me.
awful. It's awful.
But like, everyone just, they don't think marriage is important because there's always a way out.
Mm,
And so nobody wants to fight for it and do the work that needs to be done and the work that you committed to prior to marriage. But just knowing that it's not even a word.
it's like doing a workout and trying to lose weight with in a candy shop,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, it takes hard work to work out. It takes hard work to be in a marriage. Hard work. Like it takes time, it takes effort, and you're sacrificing things. Like I'm sacrificing a Maserati because I have bills to pay for the house, and I'm paying for stuff for the kids, and I'm getting shoes and clothes. Like I can't have that. And it takes hard work, but if you remove that, if you remove the option of an out, and the only thing to do is work, then you're more likely to do it.
Yep.
But at the same time, it also just is very toxic. Like talk divorce and separation is a toxic thing. Once it starts festering. You start getting ideas, you start thinking about it. Or maybe one person does, like one person in the relationship,
Yeah.
like the wife does or the husband does. And for guys,
And then the other person have no idea.
exactly. And for guys, it's one of those things. Now, one thing that I think so for guys, I think it's mainly physical issues that guys have issues with. For women in marriages, could it be emotional? So if I didn't provide you an emotional, just emotional support, like if I didn't listen to you, and if I didn't care for you, if I didn't show you love, and you know talk about things throughout the day, I would say that if uh, a lot of women, if they go to work and they find that in another man, I think I think a lot of people say that's emotional cheating or something like that, or I forget what it's called, but women tend to latch onto that. For men, it's mostly physical things, like just women in general, their bodies and all that. So, would women have a harder time with that as opposed to a physical relationship in a marriage? Would they have like a harder time getting that type of like emotional relationship in a marriage?
Oh, yeah. I would say that's probably the bigger issue for women. But also that just kind of comes down to like don't sweat the small stuff.
Mm.
Because women are queen of grudges.
Mm.
And the little things add up and it falls under communication.
Hmm.
Not communicating the small things like
Talking about and putting it out in the open.
yes, and usually like the small things that I think are like, okay, this is really driving me nuts. We just talk about it and then end up laughing about it because it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But because you talked about it, you're not holding that grudge.
You're not holding the grudge, and I know how to help you.
Exactly.
Like I know that you have an issue with that, and I'm going to try it. Like I'll give you an example. There's a tons of things like at the old house that we would do that I would just like leave clothes on the floor, or maybe I would not put something up.
At the old house?
Hey, or just around here. But if you tell me about them, maybe not nag, because I think that's what a lot of women do, but just say, hey, it would really help me if you did this.
Yeah, just the way you say things is a big deal too.
Yeah, and give the other person as much grace as you can, because they're not intentionally doing it. That's just a habit that they built. Yeah. But at the same time, me as a man, I can help you with that. So, just like the woman, the wife is there for a man's physical pleasure, and to keep the man safe from lust outside of the marriage. The woman does her thing and is the wife to the male, right?
Mm-hmm.
The man also needs to do that with the woman in the emotional regard. Just because the woman maybe needs to not focus on the small things and only rely on her husband, the only thing the it's still possibly true that the male is not uh, giving her love, is not being intimate with her, holding her hand, talking with her. He could just be sitting on the couch, playing video games all day and not talking to her at all. So that might be the case. So a man should step up and help a woman in her emotional needs. That should happen. But the woman, just because the man's not doing that, doesn't need to go out and find it somewhere else. Just like a man struggling with lust shouldn't, if he's not getting it from his wife, or maybe he is and he just wants something else, shouldn't go outside of the marriage bed and find that somewhere else. So I always thought that was interesting too, is that women struggle differently with, it's like a different kind of lust. It's weird. They yearn for that. They yearn for that emotional connection and maybe even leadership. But if they don't find it, they might find it somewhere else, just like a man would.
And to add to that, which this might be opening a whole nother can of worms.
We like cans of worms around here.
But most, not all, there's obviously the whatever. But most of those emotional women that cling to any attention that they can get emotionally are also most of the time your women that come out of a fatherless household.
Because there was no male to do that.
So that is a different topic in of itself.
Do you think that your mom tried her best to give you that emotional support and that type of care? Or could it just not meet the same thing as a man? Like, would a man need to feel that?
I mean, a mom can do as much as a mom can do, but at the end of the day, like,
there needs to be a man.
Which is why women are so easily to go to whoever gives the most attention. Because that's what they've done their whole life without their father. And the women that have a father and a good father is less likely to do that.
Yeah, less likely to seek the attention, more likely to seek the man, the good man, and not whoever gives them the attention. Now, hopefully they find both. Hopefully they find the good man that gives them the attention. But I think you're right. I think there needs to be a man. There needs to be a man. And last thing, we kind of went off on a bunch of rabbit trails, but I think that if we just operated within our roles, if a man operated as the leader of the household that protects and supports his family, and the woman likewise submits and serves the Christ and the man in the family, then marriages would last a ton farther. I mean, honestly, it would probably be perfect, but we're not perfect. Yeah. Would you agree with that?
Mm-hmm. Yep, it starts with the man, and if the man is not with Christ, then there's your first problem. And it's just a domino effect of all of the wrong things.
Yep. And if you're a wife that doesn't have a Christian man, and maybe you are, then prayer would be the first thing. Finding a spiritual leader, counselor, like a church, a godly woman in the church that has had a long marriage, talk with her. But if your leader, which is the male, is not leading properly, then you have to look towards the actual leader, which is Christ, and say, hey, please be with my husband, please, and just pray for him continuously.
Mhm.
But if you're that woman, now, if you're the man that doesn't lead, this is something that I had to learn is be a leader, like an actual leader. Like if your wife doesn't know where to eat, pick one. Say, okay, well, we're going here. We're going right here. That's how it has to be. Or just making decisions. Like for probably 5 years, I would just go back and forth with you saying, well, I don't know. What do you want to do? And now I'm like, well, we're doing this. That's what we're doing. Now,
And
if
that's what I need.
and that's what you need. And then if you have a different idea, and I say, hey, we're doing this, and you say, well, have you considered this? Maybe we should do this. And then we have that conversation. And then usually, most of the time, it's either you're saying, yeah, that's fair, because we talked about it and we're on the same page. And and other times it's me saying, you know what, you have a point. So let's do that. But the buck stops with me. It starts with me. It stops with me. So if you just step up and be a leader, and be intentionality, word of the day, I promise you, your marriage is going to go a lot farther. And
But just to add
nope, we're
to
done.
that,
All right.
no,
See you guys.
no. You can be, you can't just be a leader and demand things and expect that, like, you can't, although I would still do it.
Yeah,
It's
there's a
not,
way to do it.
there's to be a healthy leader. Like if your husband is not with Christ and he's I don't know how
Leading
to,
you in the wrong direction.
well, like leading, yeah.
If you have a husband that's maybe leading you in the wrong direction towards sin.
Well, also, but like just thinking that, oh, I'm the leader, I'm the man of the house, but then he demands you to do like a whole laundry list of stuff
Oh yeah.
just because he doesn't want to do it, and you know you're the wife, so you have to do it. Then that's not healthy either.
Yeah, it's not healthy. I would say that the best way to solve that is to pray for him and do it anyway. I'm sorry if a woman is out there that hates to hear that, but he makes the man, either brings him the gospel, or the man gets curious of why his wife is awesome and he's a piece of trash. Like those things work. And hopefully it's not too long, but pray and some hit to him anyway. But as the man, you're right. Don't be an overlord. Be a leader. Like same thing in my job. If I was a boss, bossing people around, and not a leader, people would hate following me. But if I was a leader with authority, but I led them towards things, then they're more likely to stay with me.
And one more thing I'll add is like single women, married women, whoever you are. I highly recommend the book, The Excellent Wife by Martha Peace. Like I said, single, married, whatever, read it. I am still going through it, but just within the last year, it has completely changed my perspective on literally every part of my life.
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
That's a good one.
But you were talking to them. Why were you looking at me? Look at them right now.
I can't.
Okay, I think we're done.
Yeah.
And this is like music to my wife's ears. She was awesome enough to sit on this episode, and she wouldn't put on my headphones. That's okay.
Compromise.
Yeah, I compromised because I want to have her back on.
No.
So if you guys liked this video and my wife, please like, comment, and everything below. We appreciate you guys watching. I hope you have a good week, and stay frosty, my friends.